Next up on the Livestream Lounge, we've got Eric Ottaway, the CEO of Brooklyn Brewery. Eric, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you, Justin?
I'm doing well. It's nice to see you out here.
Thank you. I was just remarking as I was waiting that I didn't realize exactly where we were. I was just here this summer, literally on the beach right there for a family reunion. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Nice to come back around.
It is. So are you going to be able to hit the beach? And
unfortunately, I'm getting back on a plane on the red eye tonight, so I'll get to look at it, but I don't think I'm going to actually touch it this time.
Yeah, quick trip, man.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to bring you on because it seemed like there was like a couple-week period, or maybe it was like a month, where I was either on the phone with you or your brother Robin. Like, it was almost like weekly, you know. And you guys had a lot going on this year. I want to talk a little bit about the deal that you guys struck with 21st Amendment and Funkworks, and how that national sales team is sort of coming together and how that's evolved since you guys put that deal into place.
Sure. Well, I mean, technically we don't actually go live until January 1st. So what we've been doing the rest of this year is, you know, all the groundwork, laying all the foundation, putting the pieces in place, and trying to get that integration ready. You know, it's a pretty daunting challenge because it's not just about smashing two sales groups together. It's all the logistics, you know, the planning, the forecasting, production that have to go around that. But I have to say, even though it hasn't technically started yet, it feels like it's already like a group. They're, you know, cross-selling, you know, as we speak. I mean, 21A guys keep calling us, being like, "Holy shit, you just got us another like bunch of chain store placements." Like, you know, we haven't even started yet. So the group's super excited to be working on this. We actually, starting tomorrow, everybody's showing up in Brooklyn for our annual holiday party and end-of-year sales meeting and company meeting. So it'll really be the first time we bring the entire group together with all of our staff. So that's going to be a really fun weekend.
That's great that you guys are already scoring those chain placements for 21A. I wonder too, like, what's it mean for like a smaller brand like Funkworks? What's that going to be able to do for that brand?
Well, I mean, I think for all three brands, 2018 really is a year about kind of getting ready. You know, we all have a lot of work to do. With 21A, they're really finishing the expansion of the brewery they built in San Leandro, bringing in new tanks so they have enough capacity, bringing in a bottling line, additional filtration. With Funkworks, I mean, it's a tiny brewery, and they're making incredible beers and a great brand. But if we were just all of a sudden put them into 10 new markets, they wouldn't have the capacity to keep up. So similarly there, we're putting in a brand new brew house, expanding out capacity, new bottling line, new kegging line. I mean, in many ways, by the time we're done, the brewery's going to be, you know, 90% new. And it's tough because, of course, everybody's so excited and everybody wants to get going, but you kind of got to be patient and you know, let all the kind of foundational stones, you know, be set in place before we really kind of hit the accelerator and go. So that's really what 2018 is all about, is you know, setting the stage for the future. And yeah, there'll be some small expansions here and there, but no major big new rollouts across the country.
What will that expansion at Funkworks, what will that take their capacity to?
Well, we'll set it up so they could eventually get up to around 30,000 barrels. You know, I think right now they have capacity for about like 6, and you know, in the first step we'll take that, we'll double that, but then just adding more tanks in to get them up to 30 eventually, and that would probably pretty much max out the site that they're at. But you know, one step at a time. Let's not sort of count our chickens before they've hatched, right? So I think, like we said, put the steps in place, and then we'll sort of grow very kind of rationally and diligently and make sure we're ready for it.
So for Brooklyn, heading into 2018, what's sort of the strategy that you guys are deploying for that brand as far as growth? What are you looking to do? What are you looking to pull out of 18?
The biggest thing talking about the Brooklyn brand or the Funkworks brand?
The Brooklyn brand.
Oh, the Brooklyn brand. So for us, this year, or the last couple of years, I should say, has been about kind of a whole portfolio refresh. In many ways, we had gone a long time, and in retrospect, too long, with our sort of legacy portfolio, you know, which was sort of lager, brown, and IPA, and East IPA specifically. And we had some kind of new fledgling brands that were out there. We really hadn't done a whole lot with them, and I think we realized a couple years ago that it was time to really move away from some of the the old classics. Like our brown ale. I love that beer. It's one of those beers that personally I like rarely drink, and then every time I drink it, I'm like, holy cow, this is a great beer. But it's a style that's really it's a little bit tired, and it's not what people are looking for. So time to kind of move on. So we've been doing a lot of stuff, putting in place new brands like Sriracha, like Defender IPA, like Bel Air Sour, and really positioning the portfolio, for today's market and for the future. At the same time, we hadn't done a packaging refresh, since the beginning. So we essentially went 28 years with the same look, so we're in the midst of updating all of our labels and our six packs, and some super exciting stuff coming out, and the early results are great. Our winter lager, which has kind of like a fur trim, fake fur, not real fur, look on the six pack, and the label it's just been flying off the shelf, and it's just a packaging change. So all we did, same beer. So I think it's sort of a good indication of some of the fun that we can have with the brand, with the packaging refresh.
How soon are we going to see that? I mean, it's already coming out, but how soon are we going to get a complete rollout of that?
Well, it takes time. I mean, we're sort of starting with the seasonals as they come out. So winter, our spring seasonal is just starting to ship now. Naranjito, which is an orange-flavored pale ale made with, with dry orange peel, not orange juice. The next one in the line after that is summer ale, so that's already ready. And then, of course, the next big one we're working on is our flagship, Brooklyn Lager. And then we'll circle back to probably East India Pale Ale and then kind of work our way through the rest of the portfolio. But making sure first that all the seasonals as we roll through them are new, and then back to the core one. So, and of course, your flagship is the trickiest one, right? In some ways it's the riskiest, but we're really taking our time on that one to make sure that we can kind of distill down the essence of the brand in that one package.
I'll definitely be excited to see that. I'll be real curious to see how you treat that, because, like you said, it's really tricky with a flagship. I mean, you have the dedicated following. You've got a recognizable brand. It's like, how do you tweak that? And
Sure, absolutely. Well, and things like a seasonal in many ways are easier because they have, by definition, a natural sort of theme, right? Summer is summer, so that, there's only so many different ways you're going to do summer. It makes sense. Naranjito, our spring seasonal, is orange. So they did this really cool thing with orange peel look on it. It's like the bee, still the classic bee, but it's done in orange peel. So they really had some fun with it. But again, it's a bit more of an obvious one. With Brooklyn Lager, you don't have that same simple hook, right? You're trying to distill an entire brand essence in one thing, and that makes it a lot more challenging.
Tell me a little bit. You guys did some more international expansion this year with the deals that you struck in Lithuania, Hong Kong, and the United Kingdom. Right. Tell me what it was that attracted you to those markets. Why go big that way?
Well, I mean, London and Hong Kong are sort of the easiest ones, if you will. I mean, they're big global cities, well known everywhere, and we've always thought that in many ways the Brooklyn brand is really about key global cities. And the urban kind of creativity and renewal that they're all experiencing. So those are naturals for us. Lithuania is a little bit out in left field. I mean, it's a tiny seaside resort called Klaipėda, so that one I'll certainly admit it's a little bit more of a head scratcher. But that was more just sort of a really interesting opportunity with this great old local brand that had already started recasting itself as more of a modern craft brand. And they came to us with this project, and I have to admit, first of all, we all said, where the F is Klaipėda? And once we figured it out, then we started really digging into what the brand was all about, what they had done, and what they were looking to do. And it was a super exciting project to be part of. I mean, they tore down an old kind of Soviet era looking brewery and built a brand new, beautiful brick brewery. That it's not quite done yet. It's still in construction, but it's going to be just a fantastic spot right in the middle of the downtown area. Tons of foot traffic, so I think it's really going to be an iconic location in that area. So that's just sort of almost a fun side project, but I think it's going to be really cool.
Will we end up seeing some of those brands over here eventually, or?
Yeah, that's something that we ask ourselves on a pretty regular basis. Like, when is the right time? On the one hand, this is an ultra cluttered marketplace, as we all know, and there's been a lot of talk about. That being said, we still think that there is opportunity for the right brands kind of positioned well. I don't know if like a broad launch of all these brands like across the country is necessarily the right thing, but I think maybe more bringing them in on a kind of an in and out kind of basis, like a little market teaser, some fun, like Brooklyn friends from around the world come in, maybe even in like a variety package or something could be really fun. So yeah, we may probably more likely to handle it that way.
That'd be a very cool. That'd be a very cool set to get.
Yeah, no, we think so, and I don't think we'll do it in 2019 or 2018, but I think maybe pushing towards 2019 might be the right time to start doing that.
Will those markets be seeing the Brooklyn brand as well?
Yeah, so we're in all those markets with a Brooklyn brand. The UK is our second biggest market, Sweden being the first. Hong Kong is relatively small but growing well, and the Baltic states are obviously are tiny in population. There is actually very interesting craft industry up there and sort of modern craft industry that's growing quickly. So we think it's a nice complement to being part of that market.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the time, Eric.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate
Absolutely.
you coming on.
Yeah.
So.
Cheers.